Please be seated. As indicated in the meeting reminder, it's going to be a brief meeting tonight for the open part of the meeting, and then the board needs to go into a closed executive session to discuss some legal, contractual, and personnel items. So, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion by Erica, second by Kevin. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Opposed? Carried. Item 3, there's a GoFundMe page that was established for restocking the lake in memory of a Beaver Dam Lake resident who met a tragic death about a week and a half
Is he
ago.
going over here by Missouri?
Andy Cartine.
Yeah,
On Amelia Court and Lake Road, right on the corner there.
he did electrical work on my house.
Did he? Well, I got a call from, the background a little bit on that, I got a call from his, or I got an email from his wife, and my son got a text message on, I guess it was on Sunday, the day after it happened, and she said that her husband unexpectedly passed away, and he was an avid fisherman, and he wanted, his wishes were that, he wanted to see the lake restocked, and she wanted to set up a donation mechanism to donate to the Lake District for the purpose of restocking fish in the lake. And I thought about it, I said, as far as us receiving cash donations, it becomes a complicated setup because of county rules, So I said, let me think about it overnight. I'll discuss it with, county people. And I realized, well, it'd be simpler if she set up a GoFundMe page or something of that nature, and then makes whatever she felt was the appropriate donation for whatever she wanted to do, So she did that, and I don't know if anybody's seen that, but it started out with a $1,000 goal, and as of it's been on for about 8 days now, and it's a little over $2,500 in it, and she understood that there were plans to have restocking, funded by the district, etc. But she said he wanted to do this, okay? And they're only living here like a year and a half. He's come to a couple of the meetings, seemed like a real pleasant individual. And I kind of asked her, I said, well, I don't want to pry. I said, well, what happened? And apparently he had an altercation with his son, and his son killed him. And I looked in the newspaper, and the newspapers all said, if you've read about a murder-suicide in New Paltz,
Yeah.
that was him. Okay? Very tragic. So with that, that's what that's for. Okay? You may have met him a few times out there fishing, Tony.
Many times.
And I've met him here a few times, and waved to him a few times, that kind of a thing. But seemed like a real decent, pleasant guy, and
Good fisherman too.
so there's pictures of him holding a bigger bass than you caught. So.
Nah. Nah. 8-6.
All right. So with that, and they set it up as created by Friends of Andy. All right. So, okay. Board of Elections is using the building for the primary election on June 25th. I was hoping Margaret would be here tonight, but I think she's working the polls, and I think Marty Purdy down the road is working the polls. Those are, all they do is use our building. We have nothing else to do with it. Okay. But at least between Marty and Margaret, they will open the building and close it and make sure everything is set. So. Okay, the dam project status, nothing has changed since the email I sent out. Right now, the last 2 emails I sent out really explain it. The design revisions were completed and sent up to DEC around the 24th, 25th. DEC actually did the dam safety people turned it around in record time and did the approvals by the 31st of May. The county was notified on whatever the Monday was. What was the Monday? June 3rd?
Yes.
Yeah, so, now interestingly enough, when I went up to the Nice Solar Conference and did my presentation on the history of the dam, the gentleman that was one of the speakers and was actually in our group that spoke was the guy named Alon Dominitz, who's the head of the dam safety section in Albany. And I said to him, you know, I says, it looked like he had an eye opener when he saw the photos and things that I showed him of where construction ended and, you know, so on and so forth, and explained some of the issues. You know, as people handle a lot of this stuff, and generally the guy at the top doesn't see everything. So I said to him, look, I said, I don't expect you to look the other way on anything, but please, when those plans get up to you, see what you can do to expedite them, because we don't have an endless pocketbook, and we don't have, and our schedule is slipping critically, you know, so I guess maybe the word I put in had something to do with them turning the thing around in a week, you know. Nothing gets turned around at DEC in a week, you know. So anyway, so where we are is right now, the county is negotiating pricing with the contractor for the revisions to the design. Okay, I happened to go down Lake Road yesterday, and there was two guys from the county over there by the dam, and they were reviewing what they could do to maybe simplify things a little bit. So that's where we are. They're supposed to meet. They're supposed to have another negotiating session with the contractor Friday, I think. So we'll see what happens. There will be some changes. We don't know exactly what they are. Nobody's going to know until they solidify the whole thing as far as dollars and schedule are concerned. On the positive side, there's a little fat in the schedule from the standpoint that there's long lead time items. Those fuse gate modules were probably expected to be delivered here sometime the end of August. So you still got a window that maybe they could do some catch up, and it may not badly affect the schedule, but you don't know, okay? The county indicated they will provide an updated construction schedule and an updated budget, okay? Once they know the numbers.
You haven't received any plans or anything?
No, I saw the preliminary. They sent me the preliminary ones. I should probably ask for the copy of the updated drawings, but so we'll see. Part of what they have to do is shore up all that sheet piling, because they have to excavate next to it now, and it would have been a lot simpler had that been discovered prior to the sheet piling being installed. They're worrying about the sheet piling shifting, not kicking out on the bottom, you know? So, all right, that's it for that. Tree removal, I mean, the contractor still has to come back and remove logs that are sitting there on Reserve 5, Reserve 7, and take care of the stump that's on Reserve 8. So if you have any questions on it, that's where it is. I spoke to them today. They're supposed to schedule it. That's been dragging out. They sent us a bill. The bill's not being paid until they finish the job. So simple as that. County can't pay the bill unless the job is complete. So that's the status there. The Cornwall sewer overflows, the most recent ones there, where we discovered a new source of liquid going into the lake. The town ran a TV camera in, found a break in the top of the sewer line, and earlier in May they replaced the section over there, so they repaired it. They still need to address this repair is one thing. It still does not address the issue of the manhole at that location on by 115 Short Drive being lower than the pump station wet well, and you get a malfunction in the wet well, it comes out at the top of the manhole, runs right into the lake. Similar situation now. Cornwall, the town supervisor came out, met with Lou and I, they had the sewer guys out there, you know, and they took some very quick, decisive action on at least that part of it. And they understand where we're coming from on the other part. So Supervisor Randazzo pushed that along. In New Windsor, we have the same kind of a situation with the elevation between the top of the manholes and the wet well and at the pump station. And we've identified at least 3 locations where, that are prone to overflows when there's any kind of a rise at that wet well by the pump station. And the overflows are in close proximity, they're manholes in close proximity to the lake, and it runs right into the lake. They cleaned up a mess that occurred earlier in the year that they didn't even notice, but Lou and I found it. Oh, I guess Kathleen and I found it. Lou and I had done some measurements on the elevations there, but I've put 2 requests in to Supervisor Green to meet with this board, to him as well as the engineer for the town and the sewer guys to come up with a plan to deal with this problem once and for all, because it's been going on for many, many years. I've documented a bunch of sewer overflows related to this type of thing going back for the last 10 years. In 2016, I think it was, 2017, I asked for the same kind of a meeting, never got a response from the town supervisor. Same guy, Green. And we have the 2 letters to the town requesting, to the supervisor requesting to meet with the board, no response on it. So we'll discuss that a little more in detail later. I don't want it to sound political, but you know, this is, maybe it's time for some other people to be there. You know? Okay. We've had some recent requests from non-residents to use Beaver Dam Lake for fishing and boating. One guy from Middletown called and I asked where he could go fishing. You know, I heard the bass fishing is great at Beaver Dam Lake. I go, where do you hear all this? Apparently there's some website out there that's listed Beaver Dam Lake as a great spot for fishing, okay? And there's some recent information on it. So I said to him, well, I can assure you that nobody's caught a fish at Beaver Dam Lake at all since last year. Really? Why is that? How could that be? I read this thing, it's great. I says, simple. I said, the lake was drained December 4th. You know? So it's like, there's no water in the lake. All right? Another guy called and left a message, wants to know about a public access to, so you can put a boat in the lake. And I don't know how to answer them. You know? But my point is this, this is with the lake drained. And once the lake is filled back up again, or we restock the lake, we're still going to be faced with the issue of the outsiders coming in, stealing our services, trespassing on our properties, unless we start doing something to control access to the lake through the reserves. All right? We're spending, you know, our budget now on this dam is $5 million. So you think about that. We're putting $5 million into a lake, into a dam, so we can have a lake. Plus, we're going to be restocking and doing other improvements. And you really think it's fair for somebody to come in from the outside who pays $0 and takes advantage of our services? You know, it doesn't work that way. We've also gotten a letter from an individual on the extension of Finley Drive, that's in the Woodland Hills development, asking to be added to our mailing list so she can keep up with the events at the lake. They're not in the Lake District, so we don't put them on the mailing list. But that is going to raise its head. Those 35 homes in there are going to continue to, we know that we have people from there who come in and last year or the year before, they were starting to use the services here. They wanted to come here swimming, we had to turn them away. We've had people from the north end of Lake Road come here, wanting to go swimming. When we started checking addresses and making people sign in, they had to be turned away. So, you know, unless you want to be Santa Claus and pay for, you know, facilities for the rest of the world, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense, you know, that we don't control the access here. So, with that, that's all I got on status. I'll open up on the public forum, and then we'll do a motion to adjourn. Yes, sir.
What kind of LEISONG? What kind of control of access do you envision if you had everything that you need?
That's for the board to discuss and determine at some point. I mean, there's a lot of options. I'm not going to I'm not going to go into it tonight. All right, but there needs to be a means to prevent people from coming in. Whether that means closed gates and access passes, whether it means police patrols, which have not been successful, whether it means some other forms of security. I mean, it's for the board to determine and discuss with the county and come up with a plan. Okay?
And do you think the local residents have any input into this?
Sure.
Or just,
Sure. In fact, we've had a lot of input from residents. We see it. We see postings on Facebook. We get emails about, and we have people who call the local police about the trespassers that are coming in. We also see the residue from some of the trespassers. We see the drug paraphernalia that hasn't stopped. We see that on Reserve 2 primarily and Reserve 8, which are the two most difficult places that we have for access control. We see vandalism on those properties. We've had another sign ripped out. One of the address signs that faces the lake was ripped out of Reserve 7 a few weeks ago, thrown out into the stream to a point where it couldn't be accessed to even retrieve it, the post and all. Those things all have cost and value. We found, there's nighttime activity that goes on there. The neighbors call, they get tired of calling. So, there have been some arrests in Cornwall for drug paraphernalia, for drug arrests, drug-related arrests, that primarily Officer Bedetti, who shows up here periodically, he keeps an eye on that when he's on duty. But most other times we really don't see the police activity. And if you call them, you wait an hour before they show up because someone will look at it as a nuisance. So, bottom line is something the board needs to address in the coming months and deal with. Right? We've talked about this an infinite number of times here at these meetings, and all we're doing is talk. And it's not just during my tenure as chairman, but this goes back. If you look at the minutes, you'll go back 30 years, you'll find the same discussions. You'll find the same discussions going back into the 1930s and 40s and 50s in the old Beaver Dam Lake Association minutes, so it needs to be dealt with, okay? In fact, I found newspaper articles that go back to like the 1910, 1915 time frame where people used to come in here and steal fish. They would come in with nets at night, and then one article talks about how they laid out for them and they arrested 6 guys for stealing fish. Must have been a big thing back then. I don't know. All right, last question.
if you put up physical barriers and then you put access codes on them, and what if you deny the local residents access?
Nobody's going to be, the local residents are going to be penalized. Let's, again,
well, look,
Lee, I'm not going to give you, I just said.
I give you my email address, and for the last 3 years, you've never sent me a single email.
I never sent you an email?
You never sent me a single
Well,
email.
something must have happened, I don't know.
So you
Somehow you know when the meetings are, though.
I mean,
Alright, so
with you around here,
bottom line is this. It's like I said, and I'm not going to repeat it again. The board will need to address security on these properties. And I know you're opposed to any kind of security because you went around and circulated petitions indicating we were going to spend $100,000 for security.
you won't even send me email in the last 3 years, and you say you'll give me access to the lake.
Who's not giving you access to the lake?
You haven't sent me email in the last 3 years.
Nobody suggested that you're not going to get access.
I give you email most of the time you're here.
Well,
I'm here.
I don't know. I'll look into it. I don't know why you're not getting the emails. Okay.
You intentionally not to keep me informed.
All right.
And
With
I
that, I'll
actually,
entertain a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene a closed executive session. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Lou. Second.
I'll second it.
Second by Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So you'll have to excuse, motion's carried. Meeting's adjourned at 7:24. And if you'll excuse us, we have to close the meeting to discuss